Hello everyone, welcome to another episode. My name is Lolo and this is Lolo Talks. I've not shot a video in a very long time and I do apologize, but I am certain that from this video I won't be missing like I used to. Anyway, before I start giving like long stories, let me just talk about what I wanted to talk about, then we can gist after. Today's vlog I want to talk about forgiveness. Forgiving your parents in particular. I know I have seen so many people who have carried lifelong hurt, because of their childhood, and it's very, very sad to see that we see people who are matured and who are adults that are still grieving and are still hurt and are still carry lots of resentment because of what their parents did to them. And sometimes I won't say it's justifiable, but when you begin to understand that they have children who have been hurt by their parents, maybe because of the parents, verbally abuse, shame, physical abuse, sexual abuse, favoritism in the family, there's so many other things that parents do that I don't even want to talk about because I don't want to dwell on that issue. I don't want to emphasize on the hurt that the parents put us through. I want to talk about forgiveness. And I know it's not easy to actually forgive and just forget, because these are people that we believed they should take care of us and they should care for us like they're our gods, but they didn't. They just hurt us in the process. But the moment we take out that perspective, and look at them for who they really are, imperfect beings, then we might actually begin to actually forgive these people. This is actually hard. It's not so easy as it says, like come and forgive your parents and stuff like that. But it's not easy, but it can be done. I've seen so many people who actually, they want to forgive, but they are so scared to forgive because this anger and this hurt and this resentment have been built in within them for so long. It's just been rooted into their mind. It's what pushes them every day in the morning. The hate and the anger and everything of what their parents have done to them back then. It's what pushes them. That they like, if I forgive, what would fill up that void? Sure you get. So this thing is very, very huge. And regardless of how easy I make it seem as I speak in the vlog, I actually do understand and acknowledge the fact that it's easier said than done. When you become an adult, forgiveness becomes one of the major tasks. So when you actually refuse or when you find it hard to forgive, you remain like that child that clings onto his parent and onto her parent because you begin to blame them for all your shortcomings and all your misfortunes. But when you forgive, you take responsibility for your life. I'm going to give you an example. A child who is hot-tempered, not even a child because I'm talking to adults now, an adult who is hot-tempered, when you ask ask the adult, why are you so hot-tempered and everything, the adult will tell you that, when I was younger, it was a defense mechanism, or that was the way I lashed out because my parents neglected me, or because they favorited my sisters or my brother over me. And I hear that response and I say, but you're an adult. I don't want to hear that kind of response anymore. You need to take responsibility for your life. But that's what happens when you haven't forgiven your parents, because you would not take responsibility for anything that you've done. And it's easier to actually blame someone for all your misfortunes. But as an adult, you are responsible for yourself. I know people that, okay, you finished school. Okay, you didn't finish school. You don't have a job. And they ask you, why don't you have a job or why don't you have a degree? Instead of saying, I wasn't focused in school and that's why I don't have a degree, they say, when I fell out from school now, my dad refused to pay my school fees. Do you see what I mean when I say they've shifted the blame? But you're an adult. This is not an excuse that people need to hear. It makes you seem like a child. And in as much as you want to distance yourself away from them, because of this hate and resent, not forgiving them is actually bringing you closer to them. It means that you're unable to leave them. You're unable to cut out that string because you cling to them and you blame them and you associate them and never forget to acknowledge them in everything that you have done that didn't succeed. Because I know that this topic or this issue, forgiving your parents, it's very, very delicate, and a parent-child relationship is one of the most intense and emotionally complicated relationship out there for me. So I want to just give us some thoughts and some things to just reflect on that might actually help ease this process of forgiveness. The first one is to begin to see things from their own lens and from their own perspective. When I say this, the first thing people say is you're making excuses for your parents and justifying. I said, no, that's not it. Whatever they did is not excusable, it's not justifiable. But the moment you begin to see things from their own lens, it makes you have compassion for them. And this compassion actually makes the journey of forgiveness easier. For example, I know there are so many parents who are under enormous stress. And when they are stressed or when they are angry, when they are frustrated, they transfer that anger to their child. And this is something that's very common, even in our day-to-day life. You ask yourself, oh my God, why is it that when I'm angry, I'll just pour it on my boyfriend, or I pour it on the person beside me? That is the same thing. And with children are quite needy. So they might not be able to understand all these subliminal messages. A grown person can see me angry and say, no, leave her, she's just not in the mood. But a child will see you and she will still come and pull your leg and say, Mommy, I'm hungry. And you can pour that anger on the child. And as children, they might not understand that you are just angry from something else, that they are not the ones that made you angry. But because of their children and they can't comprehend all of that, they take it personally. Also, some of our parents don't even know that they're hurting us. Some of them are oblivious to the fact that they actually hurt us. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, my 8-year-old sister, she came to me and she's like, sister, why is it that people don't like me? I'm always doing everything, but people still don't like me. And I'm like, what do you mean people don't like you, like in school? She said, no, that I'm always doing the housework. I'm trying, but people don't like me. I said, who is the people that don't like you? Is it mom? She said, no, mom don't used to send me like that now. I'm the only one else that's left in that house. So she's talking to me. And I'm thinking, like, I literally have done everything so I don't repeat my parents' mistake. But look at me here. I'm still hurting this girl, regardless of the fact that I didn't even know. Then it occurred to me that when she meant that people don't like me, it's the fact that, when you're sweeping, and she'll probably be in the parlor watching movies or cartoon with her sister, and I go, Diamond, come and help me, Joe. Someone that is mature, or someone that is much older, would understand and know that I'm not shouting at you, I'm telling you to come and help me. How can you be watching TV while I'm sweeping? But as a child, she will see it like I'm scolding her for actually chilling with her friend or doing something with her friend, even if she had maybe swept a small section. That's how, I'm just trying to give examples for you to see things from their own perspective. And if the moment you begin to see that this is something that you actually do, that you are not perfect, your parents are not perfect, it gives you a better understanding. You begin to find compassion for them. We have parents. We can't also forget the fact that they are parents that were raised by parents. Their parents didn't raise them well, so they have a flawed past, and the circle continues. So when you understand that maybe the reason my parents shouted at me, or the reason my parents physically abused me, is because my grandparents physically abused my mom or my dad, then you begin to understand it. Not all of us are self-aware. Not all of us are, like the way, what's the word to use? I'm going to use self-aware. Not all of us are self-aware to acknowledge and say, you know what, this routine or this cycle, this vicious cycle stops with me. Most of us, we carry it, and our parents, most of them carried it. So they do not know about any of this. Secondly is reinterpreting events differently. There's this man, Brian Tracy, if you guys know him. I got this concept from him. He talked about how you can look at these events that hurt you in a different light. You can look at it as something that actually motivated you to be a better and a wiser person. Also, there is a quote by this author. His name is, I think it's Dwayne Ware. Sorry. His name is Dwayne Ware, yeah. He's Wayne Dyer. Sorry. His name is Wayne Dyer. He said, it's never too late to have a good childhood. And that quote just blew my mind, because it's true. The moment you begin to interpret or reinterpret the events that happened in your childhood, you begin to see that, okay, maybe I actually had, the childhood wasn't so bad. Now you're an adult, you can see things from their own perspective. So maybe daddy or mommy that left me in Nigeria for 3 years, or left me in any country for 3 years to go look for greener pastures, didn't leave me because he or she was tired of being with me, but he or she left me because she wanted to go find more money to actually take care of me. Oh my God, mommy and daddy actually loves me. That the fact that they would go to another country and leave me just to make money, regardless of the fact that they would miss us, to take care of our family, shows that my parents actually love me. Do you guys understand? this is something that we do in Nigeria. The thing of our parents physically. The thing is, when you're abroad, when your parents should hit you, it's like physical abuse. But here in Nigeria, when you hit, it's become our highlight of our childhood. Then you sit and you say, remember that time mommy used to use slippers to flog me and all of that. We have reinterpreted it, because when you were a child, when your mom should hit you and everything, you would curse her in your mind. Obviously, you would curse her. You'd be so angry, or your dad. Some people carry that hurt and resent for a very long time. But because of here in Nigeria, people, you would reinterpret that event and see it as, oh my god, this was actually the highlight of my dream when I was a child. This is actually the highlight. I actually enjoyed it. You bring your other friends and you say, your mom did not use slippers to flog. If you see my mom, she used koboko, or the time that she put pepper on it. You know what I'm trying to say? We've made it like a thing that is cool. But deep down, some things are not meant to be done. So that's just reinterpreting the event. And the thing is, I know this is like a disclaimer. I know that we see this as a highlight, but it does not mean that we should go and repeat it. Because some people, they have been beaten and all of that, and they say, Shebi, I came out okay now. My children to then go come out okay. But that's not how it's meant to be. Not all kids are the same. Does not mean that because your mom hit you, you not start hitting on your children. That's what it means when I say it's a vicious cycle. Sometimes you might not even see anything wrong. Like this hitting now, I'm flogging with pepper and all this. I hear of parents that when you do something, they'll rub pepper in your eye or rub pepper in your bum, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe that someone would do that. But some people, that's a norm. But for another child, the person will see it as this is serious abuse. So you need to actually be self-aware and know that, okay, regardless of the fact that I'm trying to make this thing that happened to me glamorous, how did it really make me feel? So when you get that, you can actually determine and say, do I want to end this cycle, or do I want to continue it? Thirdly, is to always try to keep a positive mindset. Fine, babe, I'm admiring my coworker. Is to always try and keep a positive mindset. I know that this is literally one of the hardest steps in everything that I've said, because it's hard to actually keep an optimistic mindset when everything they've done to you have been so hurtful that it's very easy for you to actually be pessimistic. I know people that have gone on this journey and it took a year, and for the first 3 months everything was just so hard. They tell us, I can't do this, because maybe that parent that you're trying to forgive keeps doing things that actually trigger what they did back then. So how are they going to forgive? And what I say is, do not, if you have to distance yourself from these people that hurt you for you to forgive, please do that. And sometimes you actually have to make a conscious decision to actually do something to foster this. I remember, I've forgotten the name of this pastor. He came to my church. This was when I was in SA. This pastor said his dad never told him that he loved him, because his dad, that's his grandfather, never told his dad that he loved him. So the father didn't understand that kind of relationship. So this pastor took it upon himself to actually create that. So that's why I say try and stay positive. This is the hardest part, because it means you have to make an effort to actually reach out to someone that probably would not acknowledge your, all your efforts. So it's easy to be pessimistic, but this man, he continued. He said every day the father would drop him in school. He would tell the dad, I love you. He would tell the dad, I love you, when he comes to pick him up. Then one day the father finally replied. It's very easy when you tell your dad, I love you, and the man looks like you say, well, okay, like, what is the meaning of this? The moment you do that, you can shrivel back and say, I'm not trying anymore, I've tried. But you need to persist. You need to keep a positive mindset that this forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It's for you to have peace of mind. It's for you to know that all that weight and dead weight has been lifted off your shoulders. So I always advise, please keep a positive mindset. Do not say, hey, it cannot be done, or you begin to focus on all the negative things that your parents have done to you, that it reminds you of everything they've done. And the moment you begin to think about it, you reanalyze it, you replay all the events, it's hard for you to forgive. You would find it incredibly difficult to forgive. And the moment your parents do something, even if it's not bad, but because you still have what they did at the back of your mind, you're unable to take it in a positive light. You believe that positive gesture they did originates from something negative, that they want to do something. I don't know if you guys quite understand what I'm saying. And I know that some of us are stuck because we're waiting for our parents to actually come to us and say, I'm sorry, and actually acknowledge that they hurt us and all of that. But in reality, it might never happen. Because if you keep waiting for that to happen, it might never happen. Some parents, it's very few would come out and tell you, forgive me and all of that. So what you need to do is take it upon yourself and actually forgive them. Even if they come and tell you they ask for forgiveness or not, forgive them, because you're not doing it for them. Sorry. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself. However, there are parents who haven't changed at all. There are parents who are very toxic. I have heard of lots of situations where people say, how can I forgive my mom? You don't know what this woman did to me, or you don't know what this woman is doing to me. That whenever I come back home, even for holiday, even if it's 3 days, the atmosphere is so hostile. I tell these people, I say, forgive them and love them from afar. You need to protect your peace, because if you feel like, okay, you've forgiven someone, and whenever you go back to them, they begin to remind you and begin to do the same thing that they did every time that made you carry so much hurt, it's going to be very easy for you to go back to that place that you were in, and this is not good for your mental health and for your peace of mind. So you forgive them and love them from afar. If you want to see them, you see them for 2 days and you leave. And you need to understand and stop wishing. This is very, very important. People do this. You need to stop wishing and take it as it is. Stop wishing for the impossible task of wanting your parents to go back to the past to correct the mistakes that they made, because it's never going to happen. So you take it as it is. You take the realities of it. If you feel like our parents, some of them actually change over the years. I hear people say, my guy, you don't calm down. Or they say the last born, she's the one enjoying now. The man now, he's not even strict on her. It's not that. It's because our parents are also growing and learning as they grow up. So whenever you see someone who's maybe the last born and the mom is 40, the mom cannot act the way she was when she was 28, when she gave birth to the first child, because she too, she's learning. It's a journey. So I need you to understand and actually give them, actually, the benefit of the doubt and find compassion for them, that they did the best that they could. And even if we have the ones who are still hostile and destructive, you love them from afar and you tell them, you know what, I'm going to keep my space from you, and I'm going to make sure that no matter what happens, you're not going to rob me of my peace of mind. That's all for today's vlog. I really do hope that you guys enjoy this vlog. It's been a long time since I shot one, so I hope it's worth the wait. Do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter. It's Lolo_CY, and Instagram it's Lolo_CY. Bye bye. Thank you.